In this lesson, we are going to take a look at how we can modify the drawing units in an AutoCAD drawing. Typically, the drawing units are set up in a template file, but they can also be modified anytime by getting into the Units dialog box. This can be done by simply typing in Units, or you can go to the Application menu, select Drawing Utilities, then Units. The Drawing Units dialog box allows you to set the type of units as well as the precision. As you can see, the length and angle are controlled separately. By default, this particular drawing is in decimal units and showing 4 decimal places. Notice that the angle is in decimal degrees, but the precision is different than it is for the lengths. By default, it's rounded off to 0 decimal places. If need be, I can click the drop-down and choose a different precision. Same thing for the length. It's important to note that changing the precision here really just controls the display of values. It doesn't necessarily control the actual size. For example, if I set the length to not show any decimal places, and I drew a line that was 1.6 inches long, my inquiry tools will tell me that it's 2 inches long. It will simply round up to the nearest whole number. In addition to decimal, there are several other types of lengths that we can put in. We have engineering, fractional, scientific, and architectural. Let's look at architectural. With architectural, we're given feet and inches, and we can decide if we want to include fractions of an inch. I'll choose 1/4 inch. Again, note the angles are controlled separately, and we also have other methods for controlling the angle as well, such as degrees, minutes, and seconds, grads, radians, and Surveyor's units. Let's take a look at Surveyor's units. With Surveyor units, everything is relative to north or south, and the precision can be set to degrees, minutes, and seconds. I'll click OK and take a look at my status bar, and I can see the change in units now in this drawing. I now have architectural units and feet and inches. Let's talk briefly about drawing with architectural units. If you're in a decimal unit drawing, you cannot put in the apostrophe or the quotation for feet or inches. It simply will not recognize them. When I'm in an architectural drawing, I can use those symbols to represent feet and inches. By default, AutoCAD will be drawing in inches. So if I pick a point and try to draw a 10-foot line, but I only type 10 and enter, I've just drawn a 10-inch line. So if what I want is 10 feet, then I must put in the apostrophe, 10 apostrophe for feet. And now I've got 10 feet. If I wanted 10 feet 6 inches, then I can put in 10 apostrophe 6. There's no need to put in the inch symbol because remember AutoCAD's going to default to inches anyways, so I'll save myself a couple of keystrokes here. And I now have a line that's 10 foot 6 inches. You can use decimal places. So 10 feet 6 inches is the same thing as 10.5 feet. So I could type in 10.5 and then the apostrophe for feet. And then I'll have a 10.5 foot long line. If I want to get down to fractions of an inch, maybe I want 10 feet 6.5. Then I'll begin with a 10 apostrophe 6. And I don't want to put in a space because remember space is the same thing as pressing enter. It will actually enter in 10 foot 6. So I want to use the hyphen or the dash, followed by the 1/2. Once again, I don't have to put the inch symbol in because it will default to inches. Once more, I can use decimals, so I could also call this 10 foot 6.5 inches. If I take a look at my polar tracking settings, since I'm using Surveyor angles, I can see that everything is relative to north. So now when I draw a line, I'll see I've got north, east, west, and south, and then my angles will all be relative either to the south or to the north, depending on which direction I'm holding my mouse. That concludes this look at working with drawing units in AutoCAD.